Hello, my name is Dinesh and my matric number is S54880. Okay, today I'm going to present about introduction of the German Historical School. The German Historical School was a movement intellect in the study of German law in 19th century. It takes a romanticism as the background and regards law as the organic expression of national consciousness. The historical school is based on the writing and teaching of Gustav von Hugo and especially Friedrich Karl von Segmeni. Okay, next, the social background of the German historical school is the school rejected the universality of economic theorems. They believe that economics is derived from serious expression and historical analysis rather than logic and mathematics. The German historical school has not been well understood as the economic research method in English-speaking countries. However, it has been and continue to play a huge role in the field of economic thoughts and beyond. In social problem of the German historical school is the German historical school recognizes the state as not merely an institution of the maintenance of law and order. The German historical school view is correct that economics need to be familiar with a constantly changing history and a constantly changing environment. Economy and society involved to understand world today. For this task, introducts need to conduct factual research for new theories and new ideas to understand the new situation. These theories and ideas need to be carefully tested by using empirical data. So some of these historical schools have been criticized by some of the economics, such as Karl Marx. He had been deterred and 1842 essay that the psychophilical manifesto of the historical school of law to criticize the historical school of law of the German historical school. The German historical school criticism on the neoclassical economics lead to the great push of over method. Neoclassical economy was undergoing a revolution as it incorporated the marginalist approach to the theory. Around the turn of the century, the German historical school was replaced by another group of thinkers such as Werner Sombart and Max Weber in 1864 to 1920. These theories had the same holistic approach as Schemol's, but will criticize the historical school. That's all for me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muaz bin Rahim, S54897. I will explain the main principle of the German historical school. The first is evolutionary approach to economics. Evolutionary right here means the development and growth on that country and the society, which is constantly changed in time to time. Therefore, this school emphasizes the economic doctrine for one country at a particular time may be different for another country or another age. Number two is emphasize the positive role of government. This historical school was nationalistic, so it is different between classical economics principle whereas individualistic and cosmopolitan. So in the process of defending a unified economy is the way their development and ardent nationalistic glorification of the state. Therefore, this historical school gave great prominence to the need for state intervention in economic affairs and emphasized that the community has interests of its own that are quite distinct from those of the individual. Inductees of historical approach. This historical school emphasized the importance of studying the economic historically by using primary source material and studying changing social institutions, and they criticized the abstract, deductive, static, unrealistic, unhistorical qualities of classical and marginalist methodology. The school claimed that its historical method allowed it to study all the forces of an economic phenomena, all the facets of economic behavior, not merely their economic logic. However, some of the historical economists opposed nearly all forms of theorizing. They denied that there are any valid economic laws, with one exception. They believe that patterns of development are discernible in history and can be generalized into laws of development. The last is advocacy of conservative reform. These historical economists emphasize not merely analyze motives that prompt economic activity, but must compare the moral merit of this action and their outcomes. Therefore, it must determine a standard of proper production and distribution of wealth, so that the demands of justice and morality are satisfied. The German state should be entrusted with the amelioration of conditions for the common man to strengthen loyalty to the state. This historical school reforms the working class from a socialist ideology. The advocates of moderate social change without socialists of the chair, a reference to the economic positions. That's all. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Shafiq bin Jalil Khairi. So I want to continue about major contribution to the economic theory. Okay, first, historical empirical studies. They required to explain the present, to test the old theories and develop a new one. Today, the historical inductive method has become generally accepted as complementary to the abstract deductive approach. Changing time and methodology controversies have forced the two into an uneasy but tolerably placid marriage. For example, contemporary econometric analysis normally incorporate both abstract theorizing and empirical testing. Okay, next we go into attack on laissez-faire. This theme was the trend of the future. The members of the historical school recognize the unstrict free enterprise does not necessarily produce the best possible result for the society as a whole, and they were right in their belief that reform can be a substitute for worse upheaval brought on the sharpening class distinction. Okay, German nationalism advocated by the historians and economists overreached itself as it evolved into a frenzied militarism. During the century ending in 1914, the hope was rising that the world could achieve peace, international cooperation, and universal harmony. The German historical economists struck an strident note of nationalism that jarred this internationalist sentiment of goodwill. Okay, John Neville Keynes, the father of John Maynard Keynes, point out this fact as early in 1819. Upon of many of these problems extremely light is thrown by economic history that relate to an early period than the 19th century. If therefore, for no other reason than that institution and habit and condition change, another method of investigate than the historical must for a very much of our economic work essential. Political economy can never become a specifically historical science. Okay, next we will continue.
The first forerunner for the German Historical School is Friedrich Hess, born in 6 August 1789 until 30 November 1846, born at Rettulingen, Württemberg. An accountant in the public service, and by 1816 had risen to the post of ministerial under-secretary, became an extensive landholder at Pennsylvania in 1825. He resided in the United States from 1825 to 1833, first engaging in farming and afterwards in journalism. The discovery of gold on some land that he had acquired made him financially independent. In 1833, Liszt returned to Germany as United States Consul at Leipzig. He strongly advocated the extension of the railway system in Germany, and the establishment of the Zollverein was due largely to his enthusiasm and ardor for best known for his book The National System of Political Economy 1841, in which he criticized the Smithsonian School of Free Trade as inimical to the economic development of the European nation, in particular the less well-developed German national economy. In his view, protection was to be a temporary stage on the way to a true system of free trade between equal nation states. Belief tariff on imported goods would stimulate the domestic development. There are 4 theories that Friedrich Hess had done during their era, which is economic based on productive power. This considered that the prosperity of a nation depended not upon the wealth that it had amassed, but upon its ability to develop productive force which would create wealth in the future. Secondly, is stages of national development. This theory opposed to the cosmopolitan, or more properly cosmopolitical, theory of Adam Smith and J.B.C., and in its political and national aspect, their theory of universal freedom of trade. Thirdly is national economics. This was more realistic in thinking that the excellent goal of a cosmopolitical world could not be quickly achieved without allowing for the present existence and power of rival nations and states. Fourthly is about disagreement with Adam Smith's idea. Liszt had correctly noted that Smith drew on system of thought that were cosmopolitical, hence see national differences as a relic of the dark ages that enlightened politics would eventually overcome. The second forerunner is Wilhelm Rocher, born in 1817 until 1864, one of the founders of the older historical school, remembered as a significant 19th century German political economist and a contributor to the German Historical School of Economics. He became professor of political economy at Göttingen and later Leipzig. His 5-volume textbook, Economic Science, took 40 years to complete and was widely used in German school. Rocher showed his affinity for economics theory by including a simplified version of English classical price theory in his Principle of Political Economy. He asserted that the study contemporary facts and opinion is an essential adjunct to the classical deductive method. Next forerunner is Gustav Schwaller, born in 1838 until 1917. The leading figure of the younger historical school, was a professor of political science at Halle Strasbourg and Berlin. One of the founders and a major leader of the Verein for Social Politik, Association of Social Policy. This organization advocates social legislation and helped promote the idea of greater government activity in social and economic affairs. Characterized as the man who had brought about the decisive turn towards social politics and had given it a scientific basis. His economic doctrine must have been seen in the context of a comprehensive social theory linking an idealist statism with an ethical evolution against the background of an historist worldview. Scholars believe that ethical value judgments are to be encouraged. Justice in the economic system is to be realized through a paternalistic policy of social reform furthered by the state and on social good. Lastly, is Max Weber, born in 1864 and until 1920, became a professor of political economy and sociology at Freiburg and later at Heidelberg and Munich. He considered himself an intellectual descendant of Schmoller. Weber is best known for his thesis combining economic sociology and the sociology of religion, emphasizing the importance of cultural influence embedded in religion as a means of understanding the genesis of capitalism. In contrast to Marx's historical naturalism, Protestant ethics would form the earliest part in Weber's model. Investigation into world religion, as he later examined the religions of China and India, as well as ancient Judaism, with particular regard to their differing economic consequences and conditions of social stratification. Weber made a variety of other contributions in economic history, theory and methodology. His analysis of modernity and rationalization would significantly influence the critical theory associated with the Frankfurt School.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Nasruddin bin Muhammad Isa. My matrix number is S55128. For the conclusion, the German historical schools are not believe that free enterprise does not necessarily produce the best possible result. The German historical schools have their own main principle that they use for manage the economic, such as emphasis on the positive role of government. They also have a figure that give the ideology that can be used for the German historical school. The first figure is Friedrich List. He believed that the tariff on imported goods would stimulate domestic development. Next is Wilhelm Reich. He focused on 19th century politics and he also examines comparative assessment of aspects of democracy in Britain, France, and the United States. The next figure is Gustav Schmoller. He was promote ethical value and create justice in economic system, as he believed this will use for the economics. The last figure is Max Weber. He combined the religions and economics as his ideology because he believed that religion can cultivate culture influences to understand the genesis of capitalism. Although the era of the German historical school is long gone, but there are still their ideas that are used for the modern economy, such as Goldsmith and Capitalist theory of money. That's all. Thank you.